Hi everyone, welcome back, thanks for joining us today. We've got another brand new story to share with you today, so let's begin. My name is James, and you know that feeling when everything in your life seems perfect, like you're living the dream everyone else envies? That was me. Zhao, beautiful wife, a newborn son, and a future that seemed so bright it practically blinded me. I'd watch Clara with Noah, cooing softly to him while the sunlight poured into the room like some kind of heavenly spotlight. It felt like a scene from one of those storybooks where everything is just right. But here's the thing about perfect moments, they don't last forever, and sometimes, they're not even real to begin with. Noah had Clara's big, expressive eyes and her soft curls, but his skin, it was darker than either of ours. Not just a little darker, a lot darker. At first, I brushed it off. Maybe I was imagining things, maybe I was just being paranoid. But doubt has this way of creeping in, slowly at first, like a shadow you barely notice. And then one day, it's all you can see. What I didn't know then was that everything I believed about my life, my family, and my future, it was about to be ripped away. I can't forget the day I placed the order for the DNA test kit. It wasn't anger that made me do it, it was fear that the life I built was a lie. I remember sitting at the kitchen table late that night. Clara was upstairs putting Noah to sleep. It felt like betrayal finally clicking the "buy now" button. When it finally arrived, I almost didn't open it. For a moment, I thought maybe I could let it go. But the doubts wouldn't leave me alone. Every time I looked at Noah, I'd ask myself, what if? I couldn't live with that question hanging over me, so I took the test. I swabbed Noah's cheek when I was alone with him the next morning. He was lying on the changing table, kicking his tiny legs and making those happy little gurgling noises. After I sealed the sample and put it in the mail, I felt like the worst person in the world. But deep down, I knew the truth was already on its way, and there was no going back. I remember the exact moment I opened that email, like it's burned into my memory forever. I stared at my laptop screen, my heart pounding so loud. When I clicked on the email, my hands were shaking, I could barely control the mouse. But I forced myself to open it. The first line of the results popped up in bold text. The alleged father is excluded as the biological father. For a second, I didn't even understand what it meant, then it hit me. Judoshioa wasn't mine. I felt the world tilt under me, like the ground itself was giving way. I kept reading the results, hoping there had been some mistake, but the words stayed the same. It wasn't just Noah, it was everything. The woman I loved, the woman I thought I knew better than anyone, had been lying to me. All the moments we shared, all the times she looked me in the eye and told me how much she loved me, they felt hollow now. I closed the laptop, pushing it away as if that could erase what I just read. But there was no escaping it, the truth was sitting right there, staring me in the face. Noah wasn't my son, and Clara knew it. I wanted to scream, I wanted to confront her right then and there, demand to know why, how, who. But as much as I wanted answers, I also wanted control. If I blew up now, in this moment, she'd probably spin some excuse, some lie to cover herself. No, I needed to do this right, I needed her to feel the weight of what she had done. That's when the idea came to me, the sip and see party. Clara had been planning it for weeks, talking about how excited she was to show off Noah to all our friends and family. She wanted to bask in their admiration, to be the proud, perfect mother. Fine, I'd let her have her stage, and then I'd take it away from her in front of everyone. I made my decision right then and there. I'd keep quiet, bide my time, and drop the truth like a bomb at the party. It was the only way to make sure she couldn't wriggle her way out of this. The thought of waiting, of pretending everything was normal in the meantime, made me sick to my stomach. But I was willing to do it. She had already betrayed me. This was my first step in getting my revenge. And in that moment, I wasn't thinking about the fallout. All I could think about was the betrayal, the lies, and how I was going to make sure Clara couldn't hide them anymore. It was finally the day for the party. The house was alive with laughter and conversation. Clara had outdone herself. She moved through the crowd effortlessly, her radiant smile lighting up the room. She was the epitome of grace, laughing at jokes, accepting compliments on her glow as a new mother, and playfully brushing off questions about sleepless nights. Meanwhile, Noah was passed around like a delicate treasure, wrapped in a soft blue blanket that Clara had carefully chosen for this very occasion. Guests cooed over him, remarking on his cherubic cheeks and calm demeanor. Watching from the edge of the room, I forced a smile. It was a picture-perfect scene, but for me, it felt like watching a play where everyone but me believed in the script. As the party settled, I stepped forward, glass in hand, signaling for everyone's attention. The room quieted, and all eyes turned to me. I could feel Clara's gaze on me, warm and trusting, completely unaware of what was about to happen. "First, I want to thank everyone for being here today," I began, my voice steady despite the storm building inside me. "It means the world to us to share this special moment. To Clara, my beautiful wife, there are no words to describe how incredible you've been as a mother." I paused, my eyes scanning the room. Clara's smile widened, but I noticed a flicker of nervousness. "And to Noah, our little miracle." The room was silent, hanging on my every word. I took a deep breath and delivered the line I'd been rehearsing in my head for days. Imagine my surprise when I learned that I'm not his father. The weight of my words crashed into the room like a thunderclap. Gasps rippled through the crowd, followed by an eerie silence. I watched as Clara's radiant smile froze, then the whispers began, soft murmurs of confusion and disbelief spreading like wildfire through the room. Clara's reaction was instant, her eyes widened in shock, and she took a step toward me. Her voice trembling as she stammered, "James, this is absurd. Why are you doing this?" The words felt hollow, more like an attempt to regain control than an actual denial. I kept my gaze locked on her, unwavering, even as she tried to appear outraged. Her tone betrayed her, it wavered, weak and defensive. Her hands fidgeted nervously at her sides, and most telling of all, she couldn't meet my eyes. Even then, I thought to myself, guilt was written all over her face, plain as day. I scanned the room, and my eyes landed on Michael, sitting in the corner near the window. He hadn't moved since my toast, his drink clutched tightly in his hand. His face was a mask of discomfort, eyes cast downward, shoulders tense, and a flush creeping up his neck. He didn't say a word, he didn't need to. Michael was our neighbor, he is the likely father of Noah, but I am not sure yet. While I'm not sure he is the father, I am sure I am not the biological father. Clara turned and ran out of the party without looking or saying any more words. Everyone at the party just stared at me, some people whispered to each other. Others looked like they wanted to ask me something but didn't know what to say. One person tried to say, "Are you okay?" but I couldn't answer. I didn't want to talk to anyone, I didn't want their sad, pitying looks. I just wanted my life back the way it was before I found out the truth. After a moment, I cleared my throat and said, "Thank you all for coming, but I think the party's over." People nodded awkwardly and started to leave, but I could feel their eyes on me as they walked out. It felt like everyone in the world knew my life had just fallen apart, and I hated it. Later that night, I came home and found Clara sitting on the couch. She looked like she'd been crying for hours, her face was red, and she was holding a tissue in her hands. I stood in the doorway, staring at her, my heart felt heavy. Finally, I said, "Why, Clara? Why would you do this to me?" She didn't answer, she just sniffled and looked down at the floor. "That made me angry, say something," I said, my voice louder now. I deserve an explanation." She looked up at me with big, watery eyes and said quietly, "It wasn't supposed to happen." I laughed, but it wasn't a happy laugh. What wasn't supposed to happen? Sleeping with Michael? Lying to me? Letting me believe Noah was my son? Clara flinched, as if my words hurt her, but she didn't try to argue. That made it worse. I waited for her to say something, anything, but she just sat there, silent. Finally, she said, "It was a mistake, James. I didn't mean for it to happen." I didn't know. Her voice trailed off. "You didn't know what?" I asked, my voice quiet but sharp. "You didn't know if Noah was mine?" She broke down then, covering her face with her hands and crying. "I didn't know," she said between sobs. "I didn't know who the father was. But I thought it didn't matter because you're the one who loves him. You're his dad in every way that counts." "It doesn't matter?" I said, shaking my head. "It matters to me. It matters because you lied. You made me believe something that wasn't true. How am I supposed to trust you now? How am I supposed to believe anything you say?" She didn't answer. She just cried harder, and I couldn't stand to look at her anymore. I turned and walked upstairs to the guest room. I couldn't sleep that night. My mind wouldn't stop spinning with everything she'd said and everything she hadn't said. As I lay there, staring at the ceiling, one thought kept running through my head. I wanted to believe her, but how do you trust someone who's already broken you? For days, I walked around the house like a ghost, trying to figure out what to do. Every time I looked at Noah, my heart ached. He wasn't mine by blood, but I wanted him to be. I had spent months waking up to his cries, changing his diapers, and holding him while he slept. To me, he was my son, at least until the truth tore that away. When I finally decided to leave, I packed my things while Clara was out of the house. I couldn't face her. The sight of her used to make me happy, but now it just reminded me of what I'd lost. I packed a light suitcase of clothes, a laptop, and a few personal items. I knew I needed space to think, to breathe, and to figure out what came next. When I closed the front door behind me, the silence was deafening. No baby cries, no laughter, just the sound of my footsteps fading down the driveway. That house wasn't my home anymore, no matter how much I wished it could be. In the days that followed, I saw Clara's world crumble. At first, she tried to act like everything was normal, calling friends to chat and posting pictures of Noah on social media. But people aren't stupid. Word got out, friends stopped returning her calls. The moms from her playgroup, the ones who used to swarm around her at gatherings, started avoiding her altogether. Even her family couldn't look her in the eye. Clara's mom was the first to say it out loud. I overheard her during one of my visits to pick up some things. "How could you do this to him, Clara, to your family? I didn't raise you to destroy everything like this." Clara didn't have an answer. She just stood there, her head down, letting her mother's words slice through her like knives. Clara tried to apologize to me more than once. She wrote me long text messages and even left a handwritten note on my car windshield one morning. It was full of promises to fix what she broke, promises to be better. But the thing about breaking someone's trust is that it's not something you can glue back together. I didn't hate her, I didn't have the energy to, but I couldn't forgive her either. Some things, once broken, can never be fixed. What do you think? If you were in my shoes, would you have confronted Clara privately instead of at the party, or was the public reveal the right call? Have you ever faced a betrayal that made you question everything, and how did you move forward? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm curious to hear your perspective. And if this story resonates with you, or if you know someone who needs to hear it, please like and share this video. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the truth, no matter how painful, is the only way to find your way back to yourself.